Hey guys, welcome back to our You versus You podcast. And this week is our first week introducing a special guest. My husband David and I had the opportunity and the honor to interview Lance Schiffman. Lance Schiffman is the founder and leader of Genshai. Genshai is an ancient word meaning never treat anyone in a manner that would make them feel small, including yourself. He and the Genshai warrior community spread self-love and service through a nonprofit, workshops, books, speaking, coaching, consulting, investing, and adventure experiences. Participants of all ages, echelons, and experience realize the elements of giving, living, and mastering the essence of the meaning of Genshai. The mission is to affect corporate and community culture and make an impact on how we live, and most importantly, how we love ourselves, realizing that when we do, we overflow to others. Lance is a heart-centered entrepreneur, impact investor, and philanthropist whose life work integrates conscious business, personal development, and humanitarian service. Lance has been involved in the nonprofit sector for over 30 years, serving in roles ranging from volunteer to board chair. He holds a nonprofit governance and strategic planning certification from the University of Notre Dame, further grounding his work in ethical leadership and long-term vision. He is the co-author of The Genshai Effect, a book that explores the transformative ripple created when we live from our highest self and honor the greatness in others. He is also the best-selling author of the children's book, The Gift, which takes us on global adventures of connection, kindness, and the realization of the beauty within each of us. As a businessman, Lance has been to the elite table of billion-dollar companies as an investor, owner, and leader. His expertise stemmed from his first ownership of his first gas station and apartment complex by age 20. His ventures have since spanned commercial and residential real estate, and he is a seasoned investor in wellness and regenerative medicine startups. His investment focus centers on innovative companies with resilient leadership and a mission to heal and elevate human potential. An adventurer at heart, Lance has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Elbrus and regularly competes in Ironman triathlons and endurance races. His plan is to summit all seven. His daily rhythm includes time in nature, reflection, and physical training, often among the striking red rocks of southern Utah, where he makes his home. You might also find him in an ice bath or in the ocean at sunrise. Above all, Lance is a proud and loving father of four beautiful children whose lives inspire and ground his mission, each amazing and teaching him every day. Living Genshai, his work continues to ripple across communities rooted in love, purpose, and the sacred truth that we are all meant to walk in our excellence. We are meant to know we are the gift, and that is the message of Lance Schiffman. Living Genshai. You can find him at www.lanceschiffman.com or www.genshai.com. Hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to our You versus You podcast. We have a special guest with us today. His name is Lance Schiffman. He's the co-author of The Genshai Effect, that I have to read this description line of, a book that explores the transformative ripple created when we live from our highest self and honor the greatness in others. Love that. Best-selling author of a children's book called The Gift. And this takes us on global adventures of connection, kindness, and the realization of the beauty within each of us. Welcome, Lance.
Beautiful. Thank you for having me on, both of you. It's an honor to be on here, and I love sharing this message with like-hearted people. So,
Yeah. Yes, so let's dig right in. If you could just give us a 30,000 foot view of who you are, who's Lance Schiffman? and give us a little backstory.
Well, the beauty of that is, there was like 16, 17 years ago that I was literally at my lowest point in my life, going through huge transitions in my family. And I was meeting with all of these doctors, physicians, everything in the nutraceutical world. And they have all these three letters after their name, right? You know, DDS,
Yep.
PhD, all this stuff. And I looked at my card and I'm like, oh, it just has my name. So, and it's kind of a funny story. So I put three letters after my name because when I needed to be somebody at that point, right? Because
Yep.
I wasn't feeling uh my wholehearted self. So I put DMA after on my Genshai cards, and it doesn't mean anything. So
I love it.
so so now I have three letters after my name, and I felt good, and I was ready to push through, and I was shared this amazing word that we'll talk about. But I'm the father of four, and I've got three grandbabies, the fourth on the way. Just amazing family. And yeah, it's I live in southern Utah next to Zion's, which is paradise. If anybody has been in southern Utah, you're right in the desert, and it's heaven. And I just believe we need to put ourselves in beautiful settings so that we can live our fullest life and get out of the muck as soon as possible. But yeah, I was introduced this word Genshai about 17 years ago, like I said, during this huge transition in my life. And the definition of this word, so the spelling's Genshai, and the definition is to never treat anyone in a manner that would make them feel small, including yourself. And I was literally pedaling training for one of my Ironman, and one of my mentors calls me up, and I'm crying on my bike because I don't know what's going to happen with my relationship, my daughters, everything. Like the world just blew up, and I was very, very successful on the outside, and at that point was the most empty that I felt on the inside. Like the rug had just been pulled out from under me.
Yep.
And he calls and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I never answer the phone on my bike ever because that's my time.
Yep.
But it was an important person. It was a mentor of mine. He says, "Hey, I have this word I need to share with you. Where are you at?" I said, "Oh, I'm pedaling up Suncrest." He goes, "Great. We just moved to Suncrest. We're at the top of Suncrest." I'm like, "No, you're not. I'll see you in about 15 minutes. I'm going to text you the address."
Yep.
I'm like, "No, I'm not coming up to your house." And his name's Kevin Hall. And so anyways, I'm at his doorstep 10, 15 minutes later, knock, knock, knock. We spent 2.5 hours talking about just being the greatest version of yourself and never treating yourself small. And he shared that word, and all I heard at the end was never treat yourself small. And a switch went on. It was like a trigger in my whole being. And I got chills right now because I'm reliving it. And at that point, I was like, I cannot treat myself small. I have three daughters, and I need to be the best version of myself, no matter what my situation. And at that point, that was the journey of finding my innate gifts, my innate talents, and it really cracked me open from the structures of the world that I had been conformed to.
Yep.
And then it's been a whirlwind ever since. Like it's not an easy road when you're waking up to a different life, and all of a sudden things start flooding in when you start allowing things in your life that you weren't before because of beliefs and structures and that. And all of a sudden, just it could just be one word, right? In the beginning was the word was God. It's like every word that we profess, every word that we think um, has structure, it has meaning, it has depth. It's either alkaline or acidic. We know this. And so I'm really cognitive of that right after I heard that word. And I became a word nerd right after that.
Yeah.
What is the deep meaning of these things, right? What is the deeper meaning? So, and my life has just been propelled into these amazing directions ever since, into the nonprofit world, into numerous facets of helping myself and then making sure that I'm helping others along the way. So that's really where I've been propelled to. And I'm an adventurer. I love to climb. Like I said, I train for Ironman competitions just so I can climb these crazy mountains that I'm
Yeah.
summiting. And the only reason I do that stuff is because you really have to check into yourself. Um, it's not this. I summited I've summited several of the seven summits, and it's not none of that. It's like this humble feeling of just being one and seeing a different perspective of the world.
Yeah, I like to talk about that. I have a little bit of experience, probably not as much as you, but to back up before I forget about it, what about the once you learned the word and you had the shift or you like had the, all of a sudden you're like, okay, the light bulb came on. What was your first big move? Curious, just like big thing that you started or however.
So that's a great question because at that point I just went into like a numb state before.
Yep.
So I really had to work myself out of, um, you know, I would say right after that, I sat in my house and I had just my new place and I just bought this gold leather chair. It's kind of an orange gold chair. I sat in it for the first time and I looked out my window across the whole valley and I was like, you know what? At this point, I can do anything that I desire in my life right now. And a whole flush went through my body.
Yep.
And I believe we can do that every day, at that point. But I had to get to that rock bottom place to realize that, hey, I have the ability to do anything. And at that point, I just started launching into, I was already into regenerative medicine. So I went deeper into that. I just went deeper into the relationships that I currently had. And it literally propelled me into the Ironman competitions. It propelled me into climbing Elbrus and Kilimanjaro and all these crazy mountains. And it was like, you know what? I'm going to push the limits because I feel like all I've been doing is just being a provider and a support to everyone around me. And it's time for me.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
greatest thing that I did was I turned the shift to me. And as soon as I did that and it illuminated who I was, amazing things started flooding around me. And it was just that shift of perspective.
Yep.
And then I went for 2 weeks to Bangladesh, they say. I could keep correcting me, and meditated with monks. And,
Nice.
and that's where I was with Kristen.
Yeah.
We went for 2 weeks. We meditated with monks. We sat for hours and just stared at each other, saying nothing. And I'm like, hey, we flew like thousands of miles to be here with you. We'd like some wisdom in that. And he says, are your arms tired? That's the response I was getting. He goes,
Yeah.
we shall sit in silence. And I'm like,
It's a
okay.
reality check, isn't it? Because, like, the first time I kind of just found a self-teaching course, right, that introduced meditation. Actually, back up. I took a feminine embodiment course first. That changed my life because she had guided meditations in it. And, like, there's just no warnings with, like, what can happen once you start meditating, like, no backstory, like, where's all this coming from? So, needless to say, it propelled quite a journey for me. But meditation is awesome. And it's wild how hard it is to do in the beginning because our world just has programmed us to be so high strung.
And all of the self-talk. Like, I
Yeah.
think that is the toughest hurdle to overcome is what voices in our head and what are we telling ourselves? Like, one of my mentors said to me, he goes, hey, if I talk to you like I talk to myself, would we still be friends? And the answer is no,
That's what I
Exactly.
right?
tell people. That's what I tell people that like ask for advice on like basically anything at this point. I'll say something and they'll get kind of offended because it's the truth. And they get like super offended. I'm like, well, you should hear how I talk to myself. Like the truth is completely truthful when it's me. I try to buffer it a little bit if people need it, but when it's to myself, it is what it is.
It is. And you're right. The meditation really taught me how to heal too. Like it propelled me because I had to silence everything around me in order to turn my gaze back to myself. And that was the term that the monk used. He's like, what gaze do you have of yourself? And I'm like, that's an interesting word, you know?
Yep.
And it was more of a gentle nature of the perception of self,
Yep.
is what he was saying. And it's interesting how we go through these journeys and adventures in our life that open us up. And I believe if we ask from here, but we have to know from here.
Yep.
And that was one of the main things that I've learned through uh, spending time with these spiritual leaders and mentors and stuff. They're like, you might ask yourself the questions in your head, but ask your heart how it feels, and then execute
Yep.
and say yes, a wholehearted yes, if you feel like it's something you need to do, even if it doesn't make sense. And doors will open up amazingly, and our mind immediately tries talking us out of it. Like, well, what about this? What do you and to analyze means to cut apart. So now it's not in its wholeness of what you're feeling. So you really have to just take the time of asking your heart, and if it feels good, go. Because the greatest time to execute on something is at the birth of where it's at. The thought, everything. The birth is where you need to execute and go.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I like went down this whole path after we sold the gym of just exactly like what you're talking about. And the way that have you read any of Michael Sanger's books by chance?
absolutely.
The Untethered Soul, I read that like maybe 10, 12 years ago, and it kind of planted the seed. And so then we owned the CrossFit gym for 5 years. We took it through COVID. So you definitely learn through fitness, obviously, but then through life that like hurdles just you grow from them if you choose to. So you just kind of, just kept developing this. Like you are not the voice, you are the one listening to the voice. And then so we got down the Yogananda train. Like we went down every rabbit hole, and I finally came up with we came up with you versus you. So you, capital U, is the same as like capital S in self,
Yep.
or go up, that is truly you. And then I refer to little you, the one in your subconscious you've programmed, you know what I'm talking about. Little
Absolutely.
little you. I call it just because I'm constantly doing things physically to refine myself, that little bitch, or like the inner child, or like
Yes.
Karen, and so like then that's my struggle, is like trying to explain to people like what I'm talking about. And I'm like, I don't know, like when you get hungry, that version, the
Yeah.
one that's like irrational and all these things. So that I explain it just like you do. I totally understand what you're saying, because I'm always talking about like which you is it? Is it that little bitch that got hurt, or like whatever got hurt or was disappointed, or whatever, created this version of themselves that wasn't enough,
That's
or
true.
was it like really you? Yeah. So
Agreed. And it's beautiful what you guys have set up, because that inner self, that inner voice, like we were talking earlier, finding that innate power from within, like you really have to instruct it. Like you have to direct
yep.
the
Yep.
inner voice,
Yep.
right? And I mean, it's part of mastery for ourselves. And when you're expanding into all of this, I was like, one of my friends, I was in this shaman journey space, and I said, well, I just want to go into expansion mode. I want to see what God sees. Like, if I am in God's image, let me see the image. And he said, but be careful, because when you expand, he says, you have to be very precise. You have to have absolute clarity where you're expanding to, because the expansion can go in the reverse as well. And, from light to dark or whatever. I mean, we live in the land of duality, right? So
Yep.
we have to play in duality. And he's like, if you want to expand into this light nature, this awakening nature, Lance, he says, be prepared for the retraction if you're not very specific and clear on what your desire and intention is. Because in the reverse, you'll go the same way. And I've been in some really dark inner spots going into expansion because of that retraction that we feel in duality, which is a natural pull. But I believe when you expand into this innate knowing and this innate being of self that you can handle the expansion the other way. Because I don't believe that we're whole humans if we're just hovering above the clouds. I think you're entrapped in another prison,
Yep.
Yeah.
honestly,
Yep.
because you need to expand in so many ways energetically as energetic humans, um, to have the capacity to receive what God or your creator has to offer for you. Like all they can trust you with is what you've expanded into.
And by
So
that point, by the point of you and what you were asking in that moment, you've already been to the depths of some darkness. So it's like there's a whole, small group of us that aren't scared of that because of the power of the lesson at the other side. So I
agreed.
will say like the law of duality and learning that it's actually, real and all these things are in place and it's by design. So it's like the better you know them and studying them and be aware, it's just like the cause and effect. It's once you can kind of see things like that, and just like you said, like intentions and your desires, like honestly, I've that's probably what I've been scared of like getting clear about because I'm like, I know it'll happen. So like, am I prepared? Is this what and shut the mind down, but
Agreed. And how do you help people or expand when you're living in fear, guilt, and shame?
you can't.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I,
100%.
I don't live there anymore. I
No.
Yeah.
let it go. Like, are you afraid of things? Well, I mean, maybe if a tiger's coming up on me in Bangladesh and the guy's not there with his gun, maybe I'm afraid at that moment, but I don't live in shame, guilt, and fear anymore.
No.
And what a beautiful life that expands to you when you allow in like love and abundance and beauty and grace and you give yourself the grace to experience things that, you know, perceptively people don't agree with. You know
Yeah.
what? Tough.
Yeah.
It's my experience.
Yeah, that lion terminology is like, well, maybe I would in the moment, but I'm not there yet. So maybe right now I'll just stay in the moment of like I am capable. Like I could handle that situation. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
train for it every day, but
Yeah. And like you said, David, it's a situation.
yeah,
It's not a problem. Like I've reframed everything too. Like people are like, "Oh my gosh, I have this problem. Like I'm afraid of this." And I'm like, "How about you just say, you're in this situation, it's uncomfortable. What solutions need to be presented to me to make it a better situation for me? And why don't we reframe it that way?"
yeah,
And and beautiful things happen because all you did was reframed it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hear it however you want to hear it. That's how I always feel. Like Jocko, have you ever heard Jocko's good?
Yep.
Like it's like however it's always the same message. Once you get it, you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
good.
true. And you feel it and experience it, right?
Yeah,
Like you start living it and then things start unfolding beautifully and you're like, oh, so this is the direction I need to take. Okay,
yeah,
just take the next step. Well, I don't know where I'm going, but it feels good. Well,
yeah,
then take the next step.
yeah,
Yep.
Like if your mind is constantly telling you where you're comfortable and where the next step is to go, you're going to stay stuck in the same place you're at
yeah,
Yep.
in just a different situation.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep, that's why Dr. Joe Dispenza, where he's like, it's, repeat or go to the unknown, and his little tagline is the unknown hasn't let me down yet. And it's because all fear is what unknown has been labeled with. So
Yeah.
then, now it's scary. And it's just like until you get to that point in life where you can start to look at it and be like, all right, this is silly that I've been living in this shame and fear for
Yeah.
20 years. Like, let's be done. And then it's a beautiful thing because, like, then the Bible came to life and all
Exactly.
of that stuff made sense in a deeper sense. And it's like, it's right there in the Bible, like ascension. Like, this is what he's coming. He didn't come and like tell people they were pieces of crap. Like, where did we get so far off?
Absolutely. And you're singing the beautiful song of what all of us are living right now. And like I was telling, I mean, that like you talked about it at the beginning, that is why I wrote The Gift, because the generation that is young and they're coming up, it's so scattered with social media and everything, and they're not hearing who they truly are, the divine nature of who they are. And I mean, who am I to write a children's book? I'm like, but with my grandkids and everything else, I'm like, what message do I want to leave them? Like, if I can leave them a legacy, I want them to know how sacred and special they are, that this inner voice or inner child that they're hearing, they're telling themselves and revealing to themselves that they are a gift to the world. They're a gift to themselves.
Yeah.
And um, it's yeah, it's a beautiful life if you just see the beauty in it, even with all the chaos and everything that's there. And the duality that you were talking about. And I'm going to jump for a minute if you don't mind, but um, I have it on the Genshai coin.
Okay.
This is like 1 troy ounce, the Genshai coin, the official coin
Cool.
of Genshai, and it's a dual lotus flower.
Oh, awesome.
So I did that for duality in your life because, as we know in sacred writ, the lotus emerges from the dark, rich mud soil into the most perfect flower, and it's shared all the time with everybody that needs to have that metaphor in their life. And we're coming out of the muck,
Yeah.
Yep.
merging into that perfect state of who we truly are. Being the gift to ourselves is
Yep.
the most important. We have to fill ourselves with as much love as we possibly can so that we can fill people with our overflow, not what's left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
And I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I agree. That's the thing with the kids is like, yeah, tell them how special they are, but then tell them not to be ashamed of that. Like to like really be like, hey, you can believe it. It's okay, you
Yeah.
know?
And I mean,
Agreed.
authenticity is literally the highest vibration, right?
Yes.
On the
Yes. Above
vibratory
love.
scale. Yeah.
Above love. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm so glad you wrote a children's book, and I'm glad that you brought it up because through this journey of mine, I went through a phase where I was like, are we not supposed to tell our kids this stuff? Like, is there an age limit? Because I mean, thank goodness we homeschooled most of the time. I mean, it's Illinois, so enough said. So we've homeschooled most of the time and really kind of just unschooled because I don't know about you, but most of the stuff that we learned in high school, you don't ever really use again. So we just kind of went from that angle of like teach them the things they need to know. And then we found, find your true authentic self that, your God self. I like to say like once you leave human nature, you find God nature, and that's how you can kind of, look at the duality coins, but there was just a part of me that was like, was it supposed to be kept secret? Like, I don't,
Yeah.
is there an
Agreed.
age limit? So no, I think yes, teach them to live from their soul self from the get-go.
Yeah.
And my gosh, like the world could actually can change.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. So, I mean, that I didn't think there's a better message that we can leave them is just self-empowerment,
Yep.
Yeah.
self-reflection, and don't live in fear.
Yes.
Yep.
If you're
Yes.
afraid, come talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Talk to somebody who's done with that because it's fake.
Yeah, you lose a few
Yeah,
years doing it.
we've already gone through that. Next
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
phase. Let's
sure.
Yeah.
and isn't
Well,
it
you're not
isn't it
exhausted
amazing?
enough.
Well, and we still are exhausted, right? Because what I've found is as you surface, right, and you're like, ah, I feel good. This is amazing. Like I'm in a place that I've never been before. And then you look around as you surface and you're like, oh my gosh, there's more.
Yeah.
And I got to experience this now and this, and it's continuance.
Yes, I'm
It's a
glad you brought that up.
continuum of knowing.
Yes.
And like I believe that we have just started tapping in to our true nature, our true authenticity. I believe we're just cracking it open. Like we're finally opening up and going, okay, um, we can step into that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we do have all of the capacity. We do have the energetic imprint of being a god or a goddess.
Yeah.
It's already in us.
Yep.
I
Well, and
believe it.
imagine how that'd work if you had like five of you to hang out with every day. Like if you had that circle of everybody, there was no arguments, everybody believed the same thing and you're supporting each other versus having to like convince everybody every day if you were to do that.
Yeah, we would get in trouble, all five of us.
Yeah, for sure. Imagine what we could do.
True
The world would be
collaboration.
like, what just happened? What,
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
where
for
do we can,
sure. No
how
doubt.
do we
Wait,
constrain these guys? How do we, what do we need to do? Well, you can't.
yeah,
You
No, that's
you can't constrain us because
well, because we
mix,
supernatural.
zero limits. Like, have you seen that one yet?
yeah, all of it.
Oh
Like
Yeah.
God.
we're we're unbelievable humans. And I was telling you about healing earlier, and that's where I really tapped in, if you don't mind if I share.
Yes, share,
Yes.
please.
Because I so I started down that path, like you're saying, about meditation and finding that inner voice and just quieting it enough so that you can hear yourself think, hear yourself feel. And I was telling you, like, I was in this really bad accident, shattered most of my bones on the first one. It took me about a year to heal. I was competing in these triathlons, Ironman, just so I could climb these mountains, because when you're on these mountains, as you know, people that have been on them, it's just you and the mountain. It's you and the elements. Like, you have to do the right breath. You have to be cognitive every minute when you're 30 to 70 below with winds going 70 miles an hour with lenticular clouds over the top of you. You could flash freeze in like 10, 15 minutes if you're not careful and you're not breathing the right way. And I believe that your breath is it's everything. How you breathe, what you breathe in. Like, it's that white fire. They know that it's an actual fire element, your breath. It's a white fire that goes in. And then when you're taking that full belly breath and stuff, and you're retracting and you're pulling it all in, like, you're inserting amazing stuff into your body, especially if you're thinking positive and you're in a loving, abundant state. So the second accident 2 years later was even worse, shattered my entire body, scapula, ribs. They had to sew my right kneecap on, two breaks in my femur bones, my hips broke. Um, However I did it, I went and checked myself out of the hospital a day after the accident. No structural support or anything. I lived by myself at that time. And it was an act of God to get me out of the hospital, like, literally, because they're ready to put plates, pins, support around my hips and everything. And I said, I can heal myself at my own home. And
That's
the doctors and the PAs and everything are like, all right, Iron Man. Like, they were being
yep.
really sarcastic. I don't want to say the word that I used, but it wasn't healthy. And bless their hearts, they're doing what they know is best for me at that time. I knew that if I went home a year, it took me to heal on the last one. This time I was like, I'm going to get focused. And I know there's this innate thing built in me that I can take care of my body. I literally sat in a chair that was my stepdad's chair, that was the most comfortable chair. I had everybody prep everything. They carry me in a sheet into the house, no structural support at all. Every breath hurts because my ribs are shattered, scapula shattered. And I sat in this chair and I literally meditated, and I read all the books. I read, You Are the Placebo, Joe Dispenza. My favorite book was by Bruce Lipton, that is Biology of Belief. When I read that one, because he brings the ethereal into scientific world, into the temporal, and he makes total sense of how important it is on every word, every breath, everything that you're doing, that you need to be in a healthy alkaline state. So I innately meditated for 8 to 12 hours a day in that chair. I was off all my pain meds. So I knew where the pain was every breath. So I would scan my body and I would focus on, like, let's say my right kneecap. They just sewed it on. I would look at the right kneecap and I would picture a healthy kneecap, and I would just get intense. I would just start deep breathing and I would be thankful for my right kneecap, the support that it gives. It's healthy already. And literally the subatomic particles would move through my body. It would heat in that spot, tingle, and then it would just go to nothing. And then I would go to the next part of my body, and then it was hurting my ribs. And I would picture healthy ribs. So I'd get a picture on my phone, healthy ribs. I would go into meditation. 8, 12 hours a day. And I would deep breathe, deep breathe, deep breathe. 8 weeks after doing that, no structural support whatsoever. I called my buddy Bill. He's this, he's a Red Bull adventure dude, EMT. He could get me off any mountain. Paraglider, president of paragliding. The guy's amazing. I said, Bill, uh, I want to summit Mount Olympus today. He's like, wait, you were almost dead 8 weeks ago. What are you talking about? I said, hey, I'll meet you at a trailhead at Mount Olympus, but you're the only one that get me off the mountain if I can't get off. He goes, you're crazy. I said, no, you're the crazy one. That's why I need you.
Yeah.
You He's the one
Everybody
jumping
needs.
from hot air balloon with no anything into the next hot air balloon, right? From 10,000 feet. He's crazy. So we climbed Mount Olympus. He took me up the spine, not the trail. He took me up the spine of the
Yeah.
mountain. We summited and he turned on his camera. He says, I have to document this. There's miracles in this life. 8 weeks ago, Lance was almost dead. No structural support. He talked about all my ribs, everything. And then he interviewed me. And I said, I had to do this for me. It was just for me, my healing journey and everything. 8 weeks after I summited Mount Olympus, after my body was shattered. How does that happen?
Yeah.
I
I'm
feel
pissed.
like,
I'm pissed because I think I can do it faster.
yeah, I listen to that and I'm like, I feel like I should be reacting bigger, but I believe it. I already believe it. So I don't even, what I'm interested in, you might do this in one of your books. I haven't read them yet, but like I tell Ava, our daughter, I'm like rubbing her traps and I find a
Yeah,
knot. And I'm like, okay, now can you push your next breath to that knot, right? And so like it
right.
makes so much sense in my mind. But man, if you could break that down and like how you're doing it exactly like you already have.
Yeah.
That's the best part. If people could just do it, visualize, get in that area, and like if you could set up steps one through whatever. Oh my gosh, so helpful.
Your body has everything built within. It's
Yeah.
Agree.
it knows.
Well, and
How
that's
did
what, yeah,
indigenous
that's what I
people,
want
how
this
did everybody,
podcast to do is prove that. Like
yeah,
real life people, that's amazing.
Yeah,
8 freaking weeks that people, I mean, most people would be still laying in the hospital feeling sorry for themselves and
yeah,
full of pain. And it's just like,
like
yeah,
this was shattered, right?
yeah,
Like I just did full bench today,
wow.
everything. It was shattered.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Your body
we're
can
meant to
literally
be
put things
movable.
back together if you
Yep.
give it the right environment to
Yeah.
heal.
So
I
awesome.
agree. In
And
this environment, you know what I mean? Like if your mind is right,
you know,
it's done deal.
That's
Yeah,
so awesome.
yeah, and I wanted my body to be whole so that I can continue doing the adventure stuff and everything that I wanted. And I knew as soon as I put all this stuff in my body, I'm going to be limited.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And innately my body was like, you need to leave here now and we'll heal you at home. We'll instruct you when we get there.
Yep.
Right? You
yeah,
went into the unknown. And I'd read these books. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put them to the test. This is my big test. Like, I believe that it resonates with me. My heart said this is true.
yeah,
Now it's time to exercise.
yeah,
And it works. And I was telling people at a retreat that I held last weekend, we're in this sacred circle with everyone, and they said, well, how did you do it? I said, I breathed the right way.
yeah,
I literally breathed the right way with the right intention,
That's
yeah.
and it all healed and worked out.
yeah.
What's your method on the breathing? Do you have a visualization? You talked about the white. I've read that up the nasal cavity.
Just belly breaths, like
Yep.
four to
Cool.
6 seconds in, 4 to 6 seconds out. You just give your body enough fuel and oxygen back and forth. And then you do have to set intention. You got to be very clear on what you're doing because, the breath's amazing. It will expand. It will give you the fuel that you need. But at the end of the day, like directed intention and I changed words and I'm going to share this. I've done some crazy things in my trying to find out what's going on. I went and spent 3 days with an oracle in Texas.
Yeah.
People are like, you did what? Like, I think that's on like these adventure Lord of the Rings and stuff, like an oracle. I said, no, there's oracles. There's
Yeah,
actual people that can channel like God and energy and stuff like that. So, I mean, if these religious leaders can do it, there's other people that can do it too. Like,
Exactly.
come on, like
Yep.
everybody that can feed into this and tap in, it's their interpretation of what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I spent 3 days, unbelievable. It transformed my whole way of thinking. And it was literally God's vision of what he sees in me, whatever conscious creation, whatever it is that is pouring down on me. And it was reflecting that back. And I was drained, like tears for 3 days, like the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like, wow, that is an incredible reflection. And it said, these are the words to manifest. These three words provide manifesting as fast as possible. And it said, desire, must, and do.
Desire,
Get rid
must.
of want, get rid of everything. Like, I want this, I want this. Well, it's always out of reach if you want it. It says it has to be a wholehearted desire.
Yep.
And then you
Desire, must
have to
do.
trust with the next step because it's all about action.
Yep.
You can't sit on your couch and have an amazing desire to be successful and do things and have an amazing body, like we're fit, we're active, and it's a direct reflection of how we see ourselves. But we have to have that innate desire of it is happening for me, it's in favor for me. I am living in abundance, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time, because the feeling of what you're desiring or manifesting precedes what's going to happen. You have to have the feeling first in order to be trusted with the desire that you're manifesting.
Yep.
Yep.
That's just how it works.
Yep.
Yep.
And people have a manifesting desire, they put it out in the universe, they feel good about it, and then they immediately talk themselves out of it right after. Why they
Yep.
can't, why it's not possible, why you're not worthy of that.
Or forget. I'm so bad about forgetting. Like, oh yeah, I get all super serious about something, and within like 2 or 3 days, I'm like, oh,
Well, and that's what, the word conscious changed my life on like intention. It was just like for me, it was like a one word at a time, and then it just birthed all this information, right? And so even that seek and you shall find.
Mhm.
Once you know how to meditate and how to get quiet and you want an answer, it comes down to how clearly and on point. But sometimes it's hard if it's 3 days later or if it's a week later, because sometimes,
Right.
you're like, you forgot that you asked about it, but you did ask and it will come. That's why I'll tell some of my clients, I'm like, it'll come, but it depends on how clear you are in this moment and how long it will take. I said, so you got to always stay like just conscious and aware of the answer. It's like the guy drowning, right? God save me, God save me. And there comes a boat. No, God's gonna save me. And there's like two more things.
Yeah.
Then he gets up to heaven as God's like, I sent you three things.
Uh,
And
yeah,
we
so
all
true.
have this belief in our brain of what it's gonna look like instead
Yeah.
of just like realizing what's going on.
Well, and as you said, forgetting, like
yeah,
when we forget and we don't hold that desire long enough. I mean, that's why I created the Genshai coin, I'll be honest, because I needed to carry something with me to remind me that feeling that I had 17 years ago
yep,
with the switch that went on, to never treat myself small. When I'm in a situation that I'm, business or personal or family situations, sometimes I'll reach in my pocket and just hold the coin
Yep.
yeah,
and be like, okay, it's a reset. I
Yep.
need to do this. And the Genshai word, right? So Genshai, Gen, if we go deep in the etymology, if we talk about like how important words are and what we're thinking constantly, Gen, like genetics, Genesis, means beginning or birth,
okay,
right? The etymology, the deep meaning of it. Shai, shy in sacred writ means the gift, hence the title of the book, The Gift. So the beginning or birth of the gift is each one of us. We are the gift.
Yep.
So there's a deeper meaning to that word that is going to be flooding the earth. I truly believe it. Like, it's been saved for now.
Yep.
yeah,
And it's time for us to live into that state of being.
Yep.
And we're all doing a great work by doing these podcasts and sharing whatever word we can. Like, what do we truly desire in this life?
Yep.
Being authentic, like you said earlier, Ashley, it's like how do we become authentic? Well, you live your life the way that you desire to live it,
Yeah.
Yep.
without the conformities of perceptions of everybody around you.
Nope.
Otherwise, we're just homogenizing an entire population to be in control of the restraints that have held us down from being authentic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
Yeah, they've kind of reframed it like with that cockiness versus confidence thing. I always say like what they don't understand is if you fill your cup first, like you say, then you end up showing up everywhere. You don't need anything from anybody. And
yeah,
it's like and then like you said you can overfill on somebody, but I always think the person you want is exactly the person you're attacking. Like if you were like me, then you wouldn't care what like you wouldn't need anything from anybody, you know what I mean? You're just
yeah,
here. You're just like and it's a positive thing, not a negative thing.
it's
Yep.
So,
true.
yeah.
Yep.
It's true. And if you are that, you're not being cocky or
No.
arrogant. Like it's just who I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Or
if
the
my
best is
illuminate, yeah,
that's
if my
their version of
illuminated self sunburns you, then you probably should go get some sunscreen or something because
Yeah, exactly.
like
It's
I'm
like
gonna burn all over you.
yes.
yeah. It's like
It's a
yeah.
purifier for a reason.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. And I love the sun. I go out every morning and get grounded. I sit on the red rocks in the desert with my bare feet. It doesn't matter if it's snowing or whatever. And I
Yeah.
just sit in gratitude every morning for,
Yep.
you know what, I woke up another day. I get to do this deep breathing and I just
Yep.
pour love on myself, even if I'm feeling like absolute shit. Um,
Yeah.
pardon my French, but I'll still do it because we have to literally reprogram ourselves
Yeah.
because it immediately wants us to conform back to where we're comfortable.
Yep.
And an expansion's not comfortable.
No.
It's not comfortable. I don't care what people like, well, must be nice to be you. Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they all
Is
say.
it?
Yeah.
Because the
Come spend
further
the
I
day.
expand, the more uncomfortable it gets. And
Yeah.
and and as I pour my wisdom and everything that I'm learning back to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I had to expand in it to know it, and you're welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was a
You know?
battle that you'll never know anything about. Like
None.
it was all my battle. Yeah.
Not until you're in it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Everybody can give you, they can perch on the side and be the, you know,
Yep. And that's usually where most of them will stay
yeah,
because
ah,
it's not easy.
I
But I
mean,
love how you said that you came up with the coin because I remember like the very first day that I was like, this things have to change. And even just for the positive, it was just same. Like I have this big tattoo that I got through my awakening and just same thing. Never want to forget it. Like never want to forget it because I've seen people that got real close to figuring it out, you know?
yep.
And
'Cause-
who knows what it was that caused the misalignment, but nothing, you
yeah,
know?
and I do believe that we're here to remember truly who we are.
Okay.
yeah.
Like I believe that wholeheartedly. Like we're here to remember and remind ourselves of
Yes.
that innate being of who we are.
That's
Absolutely.
heaven, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I did want to circle back because I had a question. I want to start doing the breathing. I'm not very consistent with it. You said 4 to 6 seconds, but what's a good goal? And for somebody that's even just starting out, like how many minutes or seconds, honestly, for me?
I don't, in all honesty, I think it's just until you put yourself in that state of just peace and like if you're meditating to quiet your mind, you're doing it wrong. Because because everybody told me that the best thing you can do is just focus on your breath
Yep.
and then just ask your body what you need. How long do you need it? Some people a couple of minutes, some people 15. On
Yep.
my healing journey, I needed hours
Yep.
because it was painful.
Oh, I bet. Like,
It
because
Bet.
was
that
no
pain
fun.
would just pull you out, right? Yeah.
And just for instance, we were stuck on Elbrus and one of our climbers, the cadence was off and she was struggling and we were at um this saddle and the wind's blowing, it's crazy. We have all of us kind of huddled in together. It's like 30, 40 below and we're like we can't stop. But she was like stopped. And we're like, okay, what do we need to do? Well, let's send her back with the guides. Let's send her back with the porters. because all of us want to summit today. Like it's summit day.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 16-hour day, and we're only like 7, 8 hours into it. And unfortunately, it snowed on us right at the beginning, so we didn't have a great start. So, so we're at this saddle, and we're like, you know what? Our goal is to get her to summit. Let's take ourselves out of this. But while we're stopped, I immediately was teaching everybody compression breath because their hands are getting cold, their feet. And I'm like, okay, everybody huddle in here. We got to do compression breaths. Like we went, whoa, like we did compression breaths. All of a sudden, circulation's moving, fingers are starting to heat up, toes are starting to heat up. So it's just the type of breath that you need in that moment.
Yeah.
Like if you need a peaceful breath, it's just a consistent 4 to 6 seconds in and out, in and out. And you're just focused on your breath. Like that takes you out of your mind and it puts you into kind of an alkaline state. But like if you have to do a compression breath, like especially if you're like doing cold plunge, just get over the 20, 30 seconds that everybody's miserable when you get in.
Oh yeah.
Even people that are conditioned to it, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 20, 30 seconds is never comfortable. When I would break ice up in the mountains of Park City and go sit in the thing, how do you sit in there for 2 to 5 minutes? I said, I control my thoughts and my body for the first 20 or 30 seconds. And then I do a peaceful breath. And then my body is not in fight or flight anymore.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
just programming control. What breath do you need in what setting?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's just it's just asking your body what you need and how do I breathe and what do I need to do? It will tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It
like
will
kind of
tell you.
silencing that little voice inside for sure. I like an example of that little voice in ice bath for me is where I'll research it all, convince myself like because I have to build, all right, I know everything. And I did that with the ice baths for a long time. I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna give that a shot. Well, she actually like pushed me to it. She jumped on it quicker, but it was in January in Illinois and it was I knew 3 minutes was fine. I've done months worth of research. We've done ice baths before, all this stuff. But then
Yeah.
you get in it and you sit down and you start to realize what that little voice is we're talking about. It's like, oh, I don't know. Like, are my feet gonna be okay? Like, and it starts to, it's this little thing. You're like, everything's fine. We already
Yeah.
know it's fine. And so yeah, you
Exactly.
just get in control of it.
Like you're saying, we are the director.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yep. Just conquer those self-sabotagers. And that's basically, our just, emotion code, body code, belief code, and all of his knowledge. I even just still compressed it down to it's just that negative voice in the head. And
Agreed.
like, and commanding, once you command your body, then it finally is like, ah, great. She has taken command of me
Yep.
now. And you tell it what to do and just believe it. I'm like, I was just laying
Mhm.
there thinking about faith's the size of a mustard seed. That's all he asks from us. And that's
Agreed.
not very big.
Yeah.
And have the confidence enough to move forward, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
Yeah.
and confidence, the etymology of that is you move forward with faith. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah. Grace through faith is his favorite one. And he says grace means to be highly favored by God.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's a good. I agree with you.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, if you don't
Absolutely.
believe it, then you aren't. You know what I mean? Like if you believe it, then why wouldn't it be true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much
Yes.
for
Yeah.
Thank
coming
you.
on and to be continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys
Yeah,
can find Lance at lanceschiffman.com or genshai.com if you want to know more about
absolutely.
Genshai. Yep, and his children's book you can find on Amazon, The Gift.
As the kids looked at each other and said, I am the gift, right?
Yes,
I love it.
yes, I love it. Thank
Yeah.
you
That's the
so much.
message that we need to leave these
One,
sacred souls,
Yeah. Amen.
100%.
right? And
Yes.
each one of us are the gift, and we will never treat ourselves small again.
No, no.
No, we
Love
can't.
yourself the way God loves you.
Yep.
Thank you, man. It was great to meet you.
Yes.
David Ashley, thank you so much.
Yes,
An
thank
honor
you
to be
so
on
much.
with you guys, and I look forward. I'll have you guys on our Genshai podcast as
Yes,
well.
That'd be
perfect.
awesome.
The biggest takeaway from this conversation was this: the message of Lance Schiffman and Genshai. Never treat anyone in a manner that would make them feel small, including yourself. You don't need to become anything. You just need to come back to uppercase you, to yourself. And I want you to sit with this for just a minute. If your true potential really is limitless, then the question becomes what is in the way of you experiencing that? Just like we talked about with Lance on this episode, it's not that you're missing anything. We are the gift from the beginning. It's that you've likely just become disconnected from your true nature, your God-given design. And the beautiful part is that connection is always available to you through your own breath, your own awareness, your own intention. You can begin to come back to yourself, that uppercase you that we're talking about. But if you're sitting here wondering how to actually find that, how to trust it, how to clear what's blocking you from it, that's exactly the work that we do in my one-to-one sessions. We go beyond just talking about it. We dig deep into uncovering what's actually been holding you back and shifting it at the root so that you can experience more of who you are, the you that came down here before all of the masks and the facades. If that's something you feel called to explore, you can book a session through the link in the show description. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with somebody, somebody who's ready to remember who they truly are, or even just to test someone to see what they're truly capable of completing. Guys, so if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Ashley Freesmeyer. And one last shout out and a thank you to Lance Schiffman for coming on our podcast. You can find him at lanceschiffman.com or Genshai.com. And don't forget to grab his book, The Gift and The Genshai Effect. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.